This has been a really challenging week for students and parents. Kids have been learning online for the past few days, and the hope is they will return to the classroom by the 17th. Kids who are having a hard time can reach out to Kids Help Phone for some support and guidance, or maybe just to talk to someone. Tonight we have Katherine Hay, the president and the CEO of Kids Help Phone. Katherine, thank you for joining us this evening. Tell us what kinds of calls you are seeing right now from children who are learning from home.
Yeah, thanks for having this conversation, Courtney. We hear from kids every single day from the age of about 5 all the way through to actually about 26. We are hearing typically every day about anxiety, stress, isolation, lots of fear actually that's tied to uncertainty, and certainly depression and suicide is a daily conversation for us.
All topics that I think a lot of adults are also struggling with at this time.
Indeed.
How do some of the counselors, the people who are on the other side of the phone call, approach some of these topics? Because I'd imagine it's a little bit different when you're dealing with a young child or a teenager.
Right, that great question. I think what's really important for people to know, parents, caring adults, is that it is really intimidating to pick up the phone. But if a young person, or a text or a chat, a young person does that, assure them that all they will get is, "Hi, you've reached a counselor. How can we help?" And it is a very calm and easy, non-judgmental conversation by a professional counselor or crisis responder.
And has Kids Help Phone seen an increase just even in the last week? Because we know so much has changed for these kids.
Yeah, so certainly what I want to remind everybody is that kids did struggle with their mental health pre-COVID. And to give some perspective on that, in 2019, we would have been saying to you right about now, 2 years ago, that 1.9 million young people reached out through to Kids Help Phone across the country. Since March of 2020, staggeringly, that number is 9.5 million since March 2020. That is, though, a very big silver lining because young people are reaching out. That's help-seeking behavior. Since this new wave has created more uncertainty, more stress, more anxiety, we've seen an uptick across all our services across Canada of about 15 to 20%.
Wow, so you're talking about a significant increase in demand at a really important time. We know these kids want to talk to somebody. How is Kids Help Phone preparing for that? Do you have additional staff on hand? Are you bringing in extra resources?
Well, great question, because we're on the front lines day in and day out, 24/7, English and French. And the folks on our front lines are affected by COVID and all of the pressures just like anyone else. We have the capacity, because we're virtual care, to be able to scale as we need. So as volumes increase, we're able to do that in a very seamless way. So we haven't gone dark, not for 1 minute through this. And our wait times are anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 minutes.
Something else that I find really interesting, it isn't just the phone, right? Because originally that was the way you would talk to somebody, but Kids Help Phone is clearly aware that kids are texting, and in some cases they're more comfortable texting. So there are different ways for kids to reach out and get some support.
Yeah, great point. So people might think of us as a phone line, and our professional counselors are indeed on the other side of a phone. We also have live chat through the internet, through to professional counseling, 24/7, both languages. Actually, we introduced Arabic and Mandarin through our professional counseling program too. But through texting, where we have huge volumes, young people, there is an ease around texting, but also sometimes they can't talk, so they can always text. And that program is highly innovative, the way the technology works. So fantastic work
Yeah,
that
so
our front lines are
accessible.
doing.
Yeah, it's so accessible
Indeed.
to these kids. And again, I think that's so fantastic because to your point, there might be a child who isn't comfortable saying out loud what they're going through and experiencing, but is more comfortable texting because that's how they communicate, many of them right now. I want to talk a
It's
little
true.
bit about parents and teachers who are also online. They're watching their students right now, guiding them the best they can through these next couple of weeks. Do you have advice for any teachers or parents who maybe notice something seems a little bit off, they have concerns, and they want a student or child to get some support?
Yeah, so a caring adult parent, first parents, regardless how fantastic your parenting is, and no reflection on this, young people aren't going to tell you everything anyway. So I just want to let you know that when young people reach out to us, often we know, well, 70% of young people tell us something they've never told anyone before. So my advice to parents, first of all, is watch your young person, whatever their age. If their behavior is different or doesn't feel right, don't discount it. And as a parent myself who survived the teen years, I just made sure I had kids' help phone material everywhere, so young people could reach out. The other thing for teachers and any other adult, there is enormous content and self-help tools through our gateway, through our kidshelpphone.ca, that is less intimidating, very, very good clinically sound work, tons of content for teachers, adults, kids, friends to navigate through this journey.
And it is a tough topic for a lot of teachers and caregivers and parents, so it's so good to know that guidance is there. My last question, Catherine, Kids Help Phone, how is the support for this organization? You're speaking to the demand. There's a lot of people who are relying on this, and we know how important it is. Do you have support from the government or people who are volunteering to help out at this time?
Yes, so silver linings are all through the last 2 years. First of all, as I mentioned, the silver lining of young people having the courage to reach out. The other side of it is we called out for volunteers at the beginning of this pandemic almost 2 years ago for being trained to be crisis responders. We received 9,000 full applications within 6 weeks. We've trained 5,000 crisis responders. That shows that the people of Canada, Canadian adults, are stepping in, and they are worried about young people. They are volunteering. From a funding perspective, I will say also Canada as a whole, Ontario, Toronto have also stepped up. Our funding is sound. We were worried at the beginning. And our governments have put mental health at the forefront and have funded Kids Help Phones. So we have funding for now. My advice to government, though, and they know this, is the tail end of COVID will be in mental health. The trauma that we've all gone through, kids have gone through, is going to be in mental health. So while we feel comfortable right now, Kids Help Phone does from a funding perspective, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we've got to remember that the impact will have a ripple effect.
Absolutely, and we know how important that mental health and that support is. Katherine Hay with Kids Help Phone joining us live this evening. Catherine, thank you for your time and all of the advice that you have for our viewers. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Courtney. Thanks, everybody. Take care.